KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Same thing
Every day, no
Just
change.
never gets old for you guys.
No. Never does. Especially your face.
We've got like, I don't know,
I'm
like
seasoned.
60 recordings of that howl.
Yes. And every time it improves just a little bit.
Yeah, legend in your own mind. I am very excited about our show today.
We have a great show going on
Oh,
today.
no kidding. We have Doug Goff from Johnson Development on. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Thanks, Rob.
And I've been watching Johnson Development for probably my entire career. I remember my first intro to him was, I think you were doing a project over in 610, and that area had some land over there. And
Oh, gosh.
So Lakes of 610.
Yeah.
That was my first intro to the Johnson Development. And my understanding are you are like the largest developer in Houston now.
Well, I don't know how you determine that, but we've been
Let's just go
quite
with that.
aggressive.
Yeah,
We said so. It must be true.
If somebody objects,
has to be.
We'll just call it puffery.
Yeah.
We were just like the world's greatest hamburger, type of thing. So, talk about your career. How'd you start with Johnson Development, and what was your first position, and what's your position now?
Well, I've been in this business about 35 years. Spent 5 years prior to that with a family organization that was in high-rise development. And so since that time, been in land development, arrived in Houston in 90 with Mark Burrow, where we were developing new territory in a number of other communities around Houston. And in 95, I'd known Larry Johnson actually through our industry association, the Urban Land Institute. And from that introduction, at the time he was negotiating and purchasing Sienna Plantation. And so in June 30th, 95, we bought the property, joined the organization. There was less than 10 of us at the time because he had just started Silver Lake. And so we gave life to that thing in October 97. And today, after about 17 years, I think we've got about 7,000 houses and
Oh my,
who knows,
it's a small
25,000 people or something.
How many
whatever.
lots remaining of it in Sienna, if any?
We're actually involved in developing the southern portion, 3,700 acres, that Toll Brothers acquired last year. We had sold that property in the 90s, and it changed hands a few times. And so consequently, Toll Brothers, a national public home builder, purchased it, and we're in the process of developing about 6,500 homes for them over the next 15 years or so.
That's amazing. You just done a remarkable job down there, because I remember when I first went out there, I remember when I was home building out in Sweetwater, Lake Olympia was like the furthest most point that you'd go to, and then all of a sudden I see in, like, say about 97, I'm going, they're building another subdivision out there? How do you get there?
Yeah, Highway 6 was a little two-lane road at the time.
It was two-lane and had a lot of lights on it. I remember that, too, things like that. But you've done a remarkable job on that. How many builders do you have in that?
Well, the program has wound down, and now it's winding back up. And so we'll have probably in the neighborhood of 12 to 15 builders actively building programs from...
And hopefully one of our guests is one of your builders there.
Yeah.
For listeners out there that are not in the real estate business, they don't understand the process. What does it mean to be a developer? What does that process from the beginning look like for you guys that you do?
It's a pretty scary process. You're out there. You're sourcing land. You're trying to find property that would be most suitable for all of the issues that you want to deal with, school districts, to accessibility, to proximity to employment and shopping, and all of the above. So that's the first step. And actually in the last 12 months, we've been pretty active, bought about 6 different properties, 10,000 acres we've added to the portfolio in and around Houston. Obviously,
there's still 10,000 acres to be found in Houston.
Not all in one location, but we're blessed to be in the best real estate market on the planet for what we do.
Absolutely.
And, I just can't overemphasize that. And so we'd be very careful making our decisions because what we do lasts a long time. So we'll be going through several real estate cycles.
A lot of steps, though. You got environmental impact studies they have to do. You got a feasibility study. You got to get the engineering, all the infrastructure in place. I mean, it's a lot of moving pieces in that.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to kind of say. Touch on that. Okay, so you find a property or find a location that kind of fits y'all's needs on the first step, and now you've got it. What does it look like after that?
Well, in most cases, we will negotiate a development agreement with a local municipality or county, and which sets a framework for the rules that we will develop by over the next 10 or 15 years. Because in this business, you can't be subject to the next city council's whims of changing regulations or requirements. So if we have that in place, then we move forward with the engineering and planning and environmental studies and all the rest. But the beauty of it is we can bring a property to market in about 18 months here.
Wow.
Where anywhere
That's a
else,
lot faster
if
than
you're talking anywhere else on either coast, it's 5 to 10 years at least.
Wow.
And one of the things people don't realize, I think, is, as Houston is expanding and everything is sort of moving out, it's just as important to find a great real estate agent, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and a great builder, but also the developer has a lot to do with it. Let me tell you, as these communities are getting bigger and they're moving outwards, and you're seeing these master plan communities come about, it's important to go with somebody like Johnson Development because in that beginning stage, y'all absorb a lot of the HOA, y'all absorb a lot of the maintenance, a lot of the growth factor associated with it. And if you're not with one of the major developers, that can actually, the downturn in 2008, we saw some of the developers could not handle some of those side of things. And so that's
that's kind of where I was touching on from a consumer standpoint. Is I think there's a lot of time there's not for the average first-time home buyer or somebody who's just getting into understanding the real estate process doesn't necessarily understand the separation between the builder's role and the developer's role.
Right.
Where do you pick up and end off, and where does the builder then come in?
The builders are actually our customers. We're basically dirt guys. We go out there and put in the streets, put in utilities, all the things that it takes to create a finished lot for a builder to build a home on. All of that has no perceived value. What we really do is create an environment through our entry statements, our landscaping, our amenities, the pools, the jogging trails, all of the things that people today are looking for their lifestyle to raise their family. That's our job, and then we sell a home site to a builder who then builds their dream home.
That's actually hit a buzzword we use a lot of times. Nobody buys homes anymore; they buy a lifestyle.
Right, yeah. And then that's what they do is they create that lifestyle. I mean, if you look at, for example, Tuscan Lakes versus Cross Creek Ranch versus Sienna Plantation, everything has its, I want to say sort of like Disney World, right? Disney World has their style to it right there. Everyone has their specific amenities.
Going for the experience.
Yeah. On the experience side.
Early on in 2000, we put the very first major water park on the ground in Sienna. And again, like you say, there's so much upfront cost in the land and in the entitlements and then all the infrastructure. So our approach is to do most of all of that with equity. And then you don't, because as soon as you start putting debt on it and you hit a down cycle, you're going to run into some trouble. So from that standpoint,
you mean you're using cash? It's like un-American, isn't it? But during downtime, trust me, I know what it feels like to.
We have a good market will make you look smart, and right now, we're feeling pretty good. But
brilliant.
At the same time, we brought Wood Forest, a 3,000-acre project up just north of the Woodlands, on in 2007 and 2008, and So anyway,
that was a great time to into the market.
But if you'd waited till now, it would have cost you probably 3 times as much.
Absolutely.
In land costs. So I mean,
without a doubt,
pioneers end up with the arrows in their back, but also when the market turns, and they always turn, then they can look like genius. If you have staying power, and of course we had a lot of developers who did not have staying powers, and the banks froze up in 2008 and 2009 for those people who depended on borrowed money.
True. I mean, that's the only thing we know for sure is that there are cycles, and as good as it is now, it will slow down. And, we're hearing rumblings of that with the oil pricing issues that are going on. But
I think oil had to get,
to be expected. There
was a number that was thrown out. It has to get below like $60 or $50.
It has to be below $70 for it to have a small impact. Below $60, we'll see a major impact. Yeah. So there's a couple of changes right now, hovering around the 80s. Obviously, for Houston, we want to try to make sure that oil stays in, between an $80 to $90 range at least. because if you look at the growth that we have, you look at everything that's going on with ExxonMobil on the north side, with the energy corridor, and Phillips 66 off the Beltway. Now we have a lot of growth still coming in, and we want to maintain that. But Houston also is very diversified versus where we were before, and you've probably seen that through Johnson. I mean, one of the largest employers in the city, believe it or not, is not oil and gas from an employee perspective. It's actually the healthcare industry.
Really.
Yep.
Biomedical is one of the largest industries in Houston, and it's one of the largest growth industries in Houston as well, as we've seen one of the largest medical centers in the world.
Yeah, we had the CEO Herman Memorial come and talk to us, and it's amazing what they're doing. They're doing it everywhere. So talk about the developments. How many developments do you have currently active?
We've got 12 communities. We actually have about 40.
Okay, here's the test. Name them all.
I can do it. I think if you want to go around the line.
Let's go around the city.
Okay, in the southwest, we have Sienna, Plantation, Riverstone, and Imperial Sugar, the redevelopment of it, that site.
And that, for people who don't know, that is also where the Skeeters Stadium is located right next to there. That is correct.
Our minor league team.
That is correct.
Who drew 500,000 people last year.
I know, incredible.
Into our community that wouldn't come otherwise.
Yes, and let me tell you, and the stadium is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's one of the best experiences you can do to go out to see a professional game and
it's got
truly
a great family atmosphere.
The family atmosphere is amazing.
They have to work on the name. There's nothing I like about a Skeeter.
I know. They have the Mud Hens also.
Mud Hens, see, that's fine. That's fine. I can enjoy mud.
From there up to the Grand Parkway, we're opening a new community called Harvest Green. It's a little over 1,000 acres at West Airport Boulevard. That will bring that to market next year. It's going to be unique from the standpoint is we're incorporating sustainability. Low-impact development standards, bioswales, taking the water, filtering it before it gets into the systems. We'll have a farm-to-table operation where we'll have community gardens, and every home has the opportunity to have a garden in their backyard.
Well, I hope we get an invitation to come see all that.
It'll be on the ground this coming year in 2015.
Wow.
And then in the Katy Fulshire market, we've got Cross Creek Ranch. We purchased it just a few years ago. It now is... Well, backing up, Sienna, Riverstone, Cross Creek, and Wood Forest, we're proud to say, are 4 of the top 20 best-selling communities in the nation. Wow. Riverstone being number 4.
That's amazing now that we say Katy Fulshire like together in the same breath.
Yeah.
That was like, might as well have been, Oklahoma and Texas or, whatever, that far apart. But they're all bleed together now.
Truly.
No. And of course, it ruined 1093. I used to ride my motorcycle out there. I'm out in the country. I'd get to be right around where West Park ends right now, and they'd say, "Oh, it's free." Now it's like just like any other place, a lot of lights and go along. It's really gotten developed out there.
So you were still going around. What was it? You were going around to the other ones?
From there, we bought 2 other properties out in that market that we're bringing probably in another 12 months or more. Willow Creek Farms is an active project off of I-10.
In the Brookshire area?
Yeah. And then moving up, we have Wood Forest just north of the Woodlands, 3,000-acre project. We just bought Camp Straight, the Boy Scout camp.
Wow.
That's
Absolutely.
on 45 and Loop
there.
360. Everybody has slept there. I mean, we have more people wanting to help us with that project because they have a vested interest and a personal connection to the land.
Oh, yeah.
I've been in tents there many times in my life as a young man.
Beautiful property. It's a mile and a half of frontage on both of the freeways, and it's heavily forested, rolling terrain. And of the 2,000 acres, over 1,200 are going to be preserved in perpetuity as natural habitat.
Wow. Oh, wow.
I think that's smart for developers to recognize that people, when they do go out and buy a lifestyle, that you're not just trying to maximize lot yield. They need to have something there that they're proud to go see in open spaces. And
that'll make it a very special place for people
it will
who do
make
live
it
there.
Yeah. It's very nice. And so keep going.
Okay. East of 45, we have a property called Harmony, another 1,000 acres roughly that we're developing on behalf of an owner on a fee basis.
They used to be Discovery.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Yeah. And then on the northeast, Fall Creek, at Beltway 8 near 59, we're just nearing completion of it where the Shell Houston Open is played. And then finally in the southeast part of town, we have Tuscan Lakes in League City and Edgewater in
That's amazing.
Webster.
I know all those names and haven't done all. That's an amazing
and what's amazing is I've been to every single one of those communities.
Is that right?
And I tell everybody is I will say this, believe it or not, my favorite development of Johnson of all time is still Tuscan Lakes. I love the feel of Tuscan Lakes is absolutely amazing. But everything you do is first class. Everything you do absolutely has a great feel to it. From Sienna Plantation all the way over, as mentioned, to Tuscan Lakes, all the way to what you're doing now with Harmony. It's absolutely incredible.
I think we're coming up against the break.
We are coming up against the break. Time flies when you're having fun. They are sticking around. But stay tuned. We're going against the break. We'll be right back.
You know what? You're lovely. You know what?
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back, having a good time as usual.
Talking between the break. She warns us that mics are on. Actually, you catch us,
Yeah, usually when she captures us with, with all of our joking going on is pretty cool.
Yeah, we're always serious on the show. And so
I was going to say with our proverbial pants down, but this is radio, and that could
wouldn't make a difference.
Wouldn't go
awkward.
Good. So next we have on a great team that is with Remax Fine Properties.
That is correct.
That's where our past guest Lois Darmus is from, and they actually know Lois very well. And it is Linda and Todd Riddle. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
And so let's talk about a little bit. How'd you get into real estate? I always talk about most people didn't start out their life going, I think I want to starve for a year and get into real estate. So tell me where you started and how you ended up where you are.
Well, I've been in it for a little bit over 20 years. Todd and I met, 13 years ago or so.
That's right, 13.
Then,
get this right, Todd. It was a test. You don't know this was a test. If you got it wrong,
I'm out.
You're out.
And he lived in Clear Lake, and I lived in the Sugar Land area. And so we picked up right in the middle of everything, and Sienna was just coming out, and we thought, let's just give it a shot. And we weren't, I think he was heading down the altar, but wasn't sure yet. So we actually bought a lot together. And he proposed to me in the lot in Sienna Plantation, and we've just kind of, joined forces after about 12 years ago. We became Team Riddle. And
that is awesome.
You know that real estate is in your blood when the marriage proposal involves
takes place
real estate.
On a lot.
The story is incorporated around the real estate,
which they did not buy because their house they wouldn't fit on the lot, so they had to.
We had to relocate our lot to a golf course lot, and then we lived there for like 12 years. And
much better.
Yeah, and then. A new development opened up, up front of Sienna on the water, which I've always wanted to be on. So we sold our house right away and moved up front and built our dream home with one of the great builders out there. So.
And then y'all, one of the things, obviously, we're here with Johnson Development, and, one of the things, y'all are a huge group that sells a lot within Sienna Plantation, but within the Johnson Development communities in general.
Right.
How's that been?
Well, it's been awesome. I mean, they give us such a great area to sell. I mean, I'm very passionate about living there. I mean, it's very, very easy. Since the new development that's opened up, we sell the fact that my daughter actually has gone to the whole school system there, the elementary, the middle school, the high school, the water parks, the golf community. My husband meets a lot of clients on the golf course.
Right.
Don't you, honey?
Yeah, right. No, I don't play 3 times a week. That's a lie.
I don't know what
he's just out
about.
there walking around, but he's not really playing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
this is work, honey. I'm working. I'm really working.
One of the biggest deals I ever did in real estate was coming off the 9 green in Sienna Plantation on a $1.2 million property.
Well, golf is a great place to make. We always talk about relationships in this on the show and stuff. Great relationships are built in environments that are casual and comfortable.
Right.
And there's a trust involved. So, I'm not surprised that you did a big deal off the golf course. They want to deal with people they know and like.
I'm just surprised he hasn't invited me. I need to, I'm a scratch golfer. I scratch my head and wonder where my ball went every time. But
I wonder where it went.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he always he does pick a scratch golfer when he does teams, though. I know that.
Yes, absolutely. 2 ex-pros that I play with all the time. So it's
I
pretty
typically
crazy.
shoot in the 70s on the first 9.
Yeah.
140s total,
Okay.
Poor Rob. He's got such a hard job.
I'm the straight guy here. I could probably figure that out.
Well, just for the record, we're all straight. You're the one who keeps us online there.
But anyway, I always like to talk about the demographics and what people are looking for when they're buying those areas.
He is a snappy dresser, though.
Come on, straight guy, keep going.
Is he still on the payroll?
Yes.
Let's talk about the demographics out there. Who's buying out in Sienna? What are we seeing? Are they medical? Are they professional?
It's everybody. People? It's very diverse. You've got the oil and gas people coming in. You've got healthcare. You got business owners. It's just extremely diversified. That's the beauty of that particular neighborhood. It's very centrally located to get into the medical center. Really anywhere in town at all, it's very easy to get to from Sienna. Now that they put the Fort Bend Tollway,
I was going to say the Fort Bend Toll Road
makes it very, very nice. Yeah, absolutely.
I was saying earlier before we started the show that I remember going to Sienna Plantation, going down Highway 6, and I don't know how many lights there are on the Highway 6 from 59, but there's a lot.
Well, thank good they're timed.
They weren't back then.
They weren't timed.
They weren't timed back then. It seemed red light to red light to red light. So anyway.
We talk a lot about lifestyle. Lifestyle also includes the reason why Sienna, Riverstone, everything over there is so popular is y'all live in one of the great communities right now, in which you've got education. You have amenities associated with living around there. You have all the shopping that you need to. You've got the Sugarland Town Center that has really taken off, when that was developed and put in there. Are you seeing individuals moving, even though they're living or maybe working off I-10, moving because of that lifestyle and those amenities out there?
Absolutely. That's a huge draw. I mean, it makes, Johnson really has made our life easy. From a real estate perspective, you don't really have to sell that much. Schools have been amazing. Hiking, biking trails. They really preserve the trees. So I can't imagine what they have to go through to actually, start the development process, because they don't just come through and plow down all the, you don't just see just a, desert. They actually try to have to build around the trees, and that's what brings the draw.
I think Johnson Development really is a great example of a great developer who comes in and recognizes that people do want to still see greenery, and they don't want to see things just leveled out. Because I remember Cinco, no offense, Cinco Ranch, but when I went out there, I remember I did a 25K run out there before anything was built. And it was prairie.
That's what it is.
It was just prairie, and everything was just kind of leveled and put. Now it looks beautiful now because the trees are growing and mature, but at the time it was like, wow.
It takes forever.
It takes forever.
Yeah, the natural beauty they preserve, and they've done that in Sienna. That was a big draw for our second home there that we built on the lake. I think it was a pecan orchard. Right now, literally, I've got an incredible amount of pecans all over my lot.
Notice he didn't bring you to the show.
Yes, I know.
So he can literally say,
fanatic.
It's a tax write-off now because it's a business. I pick up the pecans and I sell them on the side of the road.
I used to live in Glenwood subdivision out there in a little 2-acre tract, and I had many pecan trees, and the squirrels were a lot faster than I am. They got the majority of them.
He's turned into a hunter.
Well, I think it's a perfect illustration. Kind of what I was touching on earlier with Doug was that I think people are unaware of the importance of the developer. It's just something that is, when they see a community, they like the amenities that are there, but it's just, in their mind, it's a part of the builders. It's a part of the properties that they're looking at, and it's a separate concept to say why a developer is important and what they bring to the table in offering what they do. I think that's pretty cool. One of the reasons why we wanted to have him on the show.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a lot of consumer awareness as development's happening, because all they see is bulldozers out there moving dirt around, and they see streets going in, but they're not really thinking about that as a home site at that point. It's once it's already beautiful and they've got that great entry, and they've usually got a community club of some type. That's when they start piquing their interest, and when they get then when they go look at homes, that's when I think the interest is really peaked.
I can say for myself, as when I first bought my own home, I had no concept of any of the amenities being separate from the homes that we looked at. Just in my mind, it was all one thing. I didn't know that the builder didn't bring in and put these things in. That type of thing. There was no concept of that.
We're here to educate you, John. Stick with the Godfather; he'll help you.
So, having been at it a little bit longer now and been connected to real estate a little longer now, I have at least some more awareness of it. But I can't ever forget that I didn't know that. So.
Right. Well, just in Sienna alone, you have a community, but it's an environment where people can get together, and they have fireworks displays. They have concerts. It's like a little mini town.
Right.
You know, so it's just...
Yeah, they're building communities again where people actually know their neighbors, because that's gotten to be a lot of the issues in some of the neighborhoods, is that you move into an area. I remember moving into an area and we'd have 10 people come over and bring you a welcome basket of some type.
Right.
And I'm seeing a resurgence of that, and I think people like that, because one of the things I know that's a motivation for people to buy is to feel safe. And nothing that makes you feel safer than your neighbors watching out for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think the master planned community is a result of, one of the basic human needs is connectedness and feeling a sense of belonging and being a part of something. And when you live in a city the size of Houston, it's really easy to lose that. Right. And why communities have thrived as they have is that you see these communities like Sienna that have their own connectedness. It is, like you just said it, it is a town in and of itself. Right. It's like a small little town.
When you get your buyers in and they're explaining what they want, what are the things they ask for, and then you say, no, Sienna's going to be a perfect place for you, or an area like that? What are they asking for?
Really just kind of all the above. They really, I think a lot of it, a lot of the buyers are becoming so much more educated because there's so much more information out there. So with social media and just Google, you can Google anything on the planet. So I think mostly important, honestly, is the schools, kind of the first question that we get, and along with the builders, the quality of builders. I can't tell you how many times I don't sell each individual builder, but I think it's extremely important to understand who your builders are and the difference between them, and then really kind of the lot and the location of where it's at, and kind of what's going around you, what's going to be built behind me, what's going to be built down the street, what's coming in over questions here. I get it every day, all day. What's going over by the Beltway? And
you guys y'all were talking about this earlier, and I know we're coming up against a break, but I'm a big fan of being an expert at what you do, and for me with real estate, that's very much about understanding your area. You were talking about just how saturated you are in that environment, is in Sienna, in that area. Would that be what y'all attribute, or at least a large part of what y'all attribute to how successful y'all have been?
It's a big part of it, and my wife's professional socialization. She's very good. She's a professional. I'm not so much, but I'm learning.
It's networking.
It's networking.
It's called networking, not socialization.
Actually being involved in the community. We've been involved. We participate in a lot of the things that goes on. We are involved in the schools, and we're involved in a lot of the extracurricular activities, from baseball to soccer and everything. I think you just have to really be involved and really know your market and know the community. And like I said, it's a very easy sell for us.
I think you guys really exemplify that. Know what you sell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And when you have a passion for it, it comes across. We have a passion for this show, but unfortunately we are coming up against a break again right now.
How'd that happen?
I don't know. But everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back with the Straight Rob and Joe and Chris.
Yes. Felt the need to clarify.
Yeah, had to go ahead and say that one again, Rob. Thank you very much.
You should be secure in your masculinity. It should not be an issue for you.
Absolutely, right?
Well, anyway, our next guest, of course, is with Sitterly. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's correct. Sitterly Homes.
And it's Steve Vaughn Hofe. Not Van Hoff. Don't say that.
Vaughn Hoff.
And you're a builder.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can say it either way. And just for the record, Doug, I, and Todd are all straight, too. So.
Well, we got that settled.
That's right.
Okay.
You bet.
Well, I know Doug, I knew Susie wasn't worried.
Oh,
anyway, so talk about your building career. How'd you get in the building side of it, and where'd you start, and how'd you end up here?
Well, I grew up around home building with my father. He was a carpenter and lived in Ann Arbor, and so big Michigan man.
Absolutely.
So I moved to Texas when the rest of Michigan did. In the early 80s.
Played at that time. They said, "Last person in Michigan, please turn out the lights."
That's right. Then. That's right. So I came down here in the early 80s, and I studied at a university construction management. got my first home building job here. Making about $1,400 a month, and it was phenomenal.
Were tall cotton.
Yeah, it was phenomenal, and it's been a great career, been great 30 years, and I've been blessed enough to start my own company in 2012 called Sitterly Homes. We've been in business for 50 years in San Antonio, Austin, now Houston, and Doug afforded us the opportunity to go into one of these great Johnson communities that I've been building in before with other brands, and worked with Linda in the past, and matter of fact, she and I are doing a real estate deal in Imperial at Sugarland with a buyer.
With one of the great ones we talked about right there, really neat. That community we talked about, we didn't go in depth, but it was really neat because the old Imperial Sugar, was there, and then they've got the Skeeters and some great building going on. What are you doing?
Skeeters.
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing building wise? What are you seeing clients want in their homes nowadays?
Well, first of all, we're selling a specialty product, which is a patio garden home, and it's one of the biggest buyer segments in the market and growing. Oh yeah, that's going to be the baby boomer retiring is the next 15 years is going to be the biggest demographic, and so with these great family-oriented communities that have been around for so long, now you're finding buyers that are moving down, and they want a smaller home to entertain, more amenities in the home, and less maintenance on the exterior, even have the lawn maintenance taken care of for them. And so it's been a phenomenal market for us, and Imperial has just exploded. Cross Creek now is really taken off for us with the Katy area. People are moving out of Cinco. They want out of Cinco, and they're moving to Cross Creek, and want to be near their grandkids because their families are out here. But now they're looking to downsize.
And that's what I was going to say. We're seeing a lot of those communities as they're getting bigger. The grandparents want to be close, but they don't want to be living with the children per se. So they're getting into these, courtyard type, townhome type community, sections within these larger developments, and they're able to stay close and yet not have all the maintenance and upkeep and expense associated with it.
Absolutely. That's a big part of it. It gives you a lock and leave feel so that you don't have to worry about your home. You could run your home with your iPhone, and somebody's mowing your yard, and your neighbors are watching out for you, and you've got your cameras and your alarm system. So you really, can leave as much as you want and come back, and it's still all good and good to go.
So the other thing that I see
ask
is
a real quick question about the configuration of the homes before we get on to the next subject, which is, are they mostly 1-story or 1.5-story homes?
Most of our garden plans are 1-story with a bonus room option, which is typically either bedroom, media, game room with a full bath up. So it's a real flexible room. You can take and put guests up there, or you can put the grandkids up there, or we also have the first floor can be 2-bedroom study. That second bedroom can configure into a what we call a casa de la nona, which is where you put your mother-in-law.
Casa de la Nonna.
Down at the Hampton Inn down the street.
Yes. I like Casa de la Nonna. That's really neat. Nonna is I grew up in Mexico all my life, so Nonna is it's sort of like, saying mama, or something like that, or grandma in Spanish, so it's really neat. I like that. Yeah. The other thing I've seen, and this is something that you're building like this, is when you walk into your homes, though, you're not seeing them as being smaller homes. They're actually extremely spacious on the inside. I mean, one of the things that I tell everybody is the new concepts that you're building under are really open. They're these open concepts, a lot of space. You don't feel any confinement when you're in there. And that's, are you seeing some of the development continue to move in that area when it comes to home building?
Yeah, absolutely. The volume's incredible.
Yep.
Well, let's speak on Steve's behalf. He's got 50% off today out there.
I got all choked up there.
This is an emotional subject.
Yeah,
for
that's right. The volume's incredible. A 10-foot ceiling is probably our lowest ceiling in the house, and with the family rooms being anywhere from 12 to 14 and vaulted, and entries are expansive, and it just, when you walk into a home that you're thinking is going to be small, and then all of a sudden you walk into it and it just comes to life. I mean, our 50 and 55-foot lot program has kitchens that could go in a 70 or 80-foot home.
Yep. Wow. And and the kitchens nowadays, one of the things that we're seeing as far as that, they're the focal points of a lot of homes nowadays. So what you've really taken is even though it's a smaller home, quote unquote, it's still, you go in there, you can still do all the entertainment, you can still have all the openness, you can do all the cooking, all the living that you do around the kitchen is still there.
That's right. That's right.
And we talk about, and I've said this for probably 30 years, that no one ever buys a whole home. They always buy a part of the home. And if you put all your focus on the kitchen and the baths, and that's what they buy. There's one component that really kind of grabs them at a visceral level to make that purchase decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And having a wide variety of appliance selections, depending on if they want a show kitchen or they want a real working kitchen. I mean,
I want something
depends.
Working in the kitchen.
That's right. There you go. There you go. And spa baths are real popular right now too.
What about outdoor type living? Because I know that's going to be extremely popular. You see outdoor kitchens. You're seeing small, what I call cocktail pools. And
you had mentioned patio garden type stuff here. So elaborate on that.
Outdoor living is really important, and it's important to entertaining as well. And so all of our homes have covered porches, but then all of our homes have the option to extend, and we call it the outdoor living extension, where we can put the summer kitchens in, the fireplaces in, do the ceilings in 1x6 tongue of groove, stain it, just a really, really outside neat environment.
Yeah, that's what I like. You're giving out free portions. That's pretty cool.
Not bad, right?
Yeah.
But, you also got those new cocktail pools that you're starting to see in some of these areas as well, and that's sort of expands the outdoor living as well, without having to have this big maintenance of a big pool, but still have some place you can go and refresh yourself.
Which, for the Rat Pack audience, not to be confused, since our listeners are familiar with us, it's not cocktails in the pool. It's cocktail pools.
Yes. That is correct.
Difference.
Yeah. I'm glad you clarified that, Joe.
And we are all straight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Our producers are shaking their heads. It's like, oh, gosh.
We hadn't got actually just snort that.
To quote Seinfeld, not there's anything wrong with that.
Yes.
There's anything wrong. But usually in a patio home, are they considered zero lot lines, or they have sides yards, or?
These homes have a zero lot line with a 10-foot side yard, and then the backyard can vary depending on lot size. But typically, that's what this buyer wants: is not a whole lot of yard, but a really nice house they can entertain in. But they can extend their living out to the exterior with covered porches, mosquito systems, screen-in porches. Those are all real popular with pergola built-ons, and so the whole outside it takes on a whole different meaning. And with maintenance included in a lot of our communities, all they have to worry about is maybe putting in some color, maybe changing out some plants, and not having to worry about fertilization, mowing, and edging and trimming.
So all the stuff I hate.
In Cross Creek, talk about your price point. Where do you start?
In Cross Creek, we're at from $270 to $350, and it is a beautiful program. It's a neighborhood called The Pond, and it's surrounded by kind of an estuary of landscaping and wildlife. So it's a phenomenal area. It's just taken off for us, and we've got a beautiful model out there called the Impera.
I think we need to go out there, Chris.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I've been out there. I've seen them actually.
Well, that's your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's all that area is mine. That is correct.
And
right
so
there.
I understand also that the landscape maintenance is a part of the association cost and things like that. Or tell me how that works.
In Cross Creek, it's not, but in Imperial and in Riverstone, it is.
Okay.
So it's an assessment that you pay, but it's really affordable for the whole year.
That's the one thing I decided to do a long time ago. I find out I'd much rather ride my Harley on a Sunday than do the lawn.
Right.
So I decided that was probably the best gift I gave to myself, was to let somebody else do it. And they did a better job.
Well, the other thing is you don't have to worry about when your other neighbor does their lawn, because they're all done at once. So nobody's up at 7 on Sunday with a weed whacker and the blower.
Well, that makes a huge difference. We need to go out to Imperial and take a look at that.
And how many communities are you building in right now?
Right now I'm in 3 with a grand opening coming up in a couple of weeks for Reisner Woods, which is our 80-foot estate product that will be on lots 80 by 175.
Okay.
Wow,
in Katy School District, Cinco Ranch High School. So it's a phenomenal area.
And what would the price point be out there?
Price point will be in the 7s.
In the 7s. Right, like that. Well, be sure to, I'm giving you my card there, so you can be sure to invite me to that grand opening. I might let Chris come out with me.
Absolutely.
So
and we tell everybody out there, it's really good stuff. Great, great areas to go to. Obviously, you're building right now in Riverstone and Imperial, in the pond at Cross Creek Ranch out there in the Fulshire area, and then coming up is Rosner Woods right there in Katy. Those are 4 hot markets right now. I mean, you can't really get any hotter than those 4 when it comes to Houston.
And Steve, if people get a hold of you, how would they get a hold of you?
They could get a hold of us on our website and click on the link to contact us, and we've got a great representative named Rodney Jordan who will entertain you as well as hopefully guide you in the right direction. But to get in those 4 hot areas, it's all about partnering with the developer and believing in their vision, and they believe in us from an execution standpoint. So it's a good mix, and then you bring on excellent real estate agents with Linda and Todd, and it's just a really great mix.
We tell you, it's a perfect storm.
I know you guys have a. Linda was mentioning in between breaks that you guys have a deal that's working right now.
Yes, sir. Imperial is a phenomenal infill area, and that's Imperial and Sugarland, and we're in probably the mid-5s there, and then after upgrades and everything the buyers really dream of doing, it's $600,000 to $700,000.
When we're up against a break right now, but when we come back, let's talk more about that.
Absolutely,
Great.
everyone.
Let's all talk about it.
We are coming up against a break right now, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Round the corner, could that some...
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, we really didn't record that in between the...
We talk about that all the time. This next segment really is a fun segment. It's not that all the other ones were not fun, but this one is an open mic segment. We get to talk about really anything that y'all want to talk about.
And if you want to call in, by the way, with questions about Sienna or anything, we've got as much expertise in the room as you could ever possibly
imagine.
But you were telling us before the break a little bit about a deal that you and the Riddles are working on together. And I guess all 3 of you are involved. Is that not right?
That's right. We're all connected. It's Imperial at Sugarland, and it's a very exclusive location with a limited amount of home sites, and we're just about sold out in less than 8 months.
In 8 months, you've almost sold out?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal run.
Do you have any inventory on the ground right now?
We have 2 pre-planned, but that's it.
So you've got no sticks in the air other than those that are being built for somebody?
Not the inventory
rights.
We're focused on our backlog.
Let's dial back to 2008. Remember those $20,000 bonuses everybody was given? Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, time turns when things go well.
Yeah, and what's been amazing, as you look at 2008 when everything hit, and you see that the downturn that we took, and then you see the absolute hot market that took off last year. And now we're actually going to a very normal market. In fact, one of the things recently with Metro Study and some of the other things that we've been looking at is, Houston is forecasted to have this type of market now for at least another 2 years, I think was the forecast. And
all the economists I've had, Dr. Ted Jones and Jim Gaines and Mark Dotzer, all brilliant people, all think we have a great 2 years coming.
Yeah, they say for at least the next 2, possibly 3 years. The one thing that Houston has done, and y'all can probably talk to this, is Houston, unlike other markets, is when the market did when the crash took place, the financial crash. Houston actually weathered it very well, though, because we didn't have all the huge appreciations. We've always done everything in a very moderate standpoint. From a development standpoint, everything was still very moderate. Even today, while developers are out there looking for land, it's still not being overdeveloped. We're still developing according to what we're seeing as far as the growth patterns of what Houston is operating on. How do y'all manage that?
Well, you have to have a long memory, because you know that things will slow down. So you don't get too far out over your skis. You manage your inventory at a level where you are providing home sites for your building program, and you're monitoring it constantly. And as you see some fluctuations. You either increase that process or back off some. And that's what we're looking at right now is we're monitoring our pace of home sales in all of our communities, and that's going to determine the timing of which and the size of all new sections that we bring on the ground.
Did y'all get caught? One of the things that I've seen in a lot of communities, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but one of the things, the market all of a sudden took off at such a fast pace that all of a sudden there couldn't be enough bulldozers out in all these communities to put land in or to scrape the land and to put the roads in. How was that process? I mean, how did you catch up to what was going on? Because it seemed like almost overnight that change happened.
It did, and it was across the board. So from that standpoint, not just from the land developing, but in home building and the trades. We're all in competition for a limited supply of qualified labor and materials. The Grand Parkway is such a huge project, and it's putting a significant demand on concrete. So for us, the concrete price has gone up almost 30%.
Oh, wow.
But these things, too,
they're cyclical.
Get finished,
yes.
Next year sometime. How do you just try to stay on top of the market and get your hand on the pulse of what's going on?
That's a sign of a great developer, though, that does remember how to judge what a market's going to be and be able to flex with it and have the staying power when they know we're going to have a downturn. We see it coming, and there were enough telltale signs out there that things were going to be slowing down, and with the subprime loans was going to be a huge issue. But you've not only stayed on, you've still stayed in business, and you've expanded even during that time. You're still looking at new projects.
Yeah. We are slowing down, but in perspective, we've been at the highest level of growth that we've ever seen. 120,000 jobs were created in the last year.
Wow.
And if we slow down a third, we're at 80,000. That's still phenomenal.
I would agree.
So and this oil price business is really affecting basically the production. When you look at the midstream and downstream, when the pipeline business and refineries, in some cases, moderate oil pricing actually strengthens their demand. So
right.
It's not all bad news.
I would agree.
Our big issue, we've got 1,200 people a day moving to the Houston area. And then, of course, Proposition 1, yes. We need an infrastructure. We need roads, and we need stuff out there. Are you seeing issues in some of the new developments that you may have traffic? You look what you created on 288. When you did Silver Lake down there, 288 was a modestly used highway, and then Silver Lake just exploded. Mm-hmm. And of course, now you've got some traffic issues coming into town. So, what do we do about that?
We're in some markets that has vision. Our public officials, and the Fort Bend Toll Road was a great example of that. It was out there a little bit ahead of its time, but it's really provided a great source of growth for us. Same thing's happening on the west, maybe not quite. The timing could have been maybe a little bit better to get the West Park Toll Road extensions completed, but it's in process. And we're part of a consortium of landowners that are putting together a proposal for Fort Bend County consideration to build what's called the Fulshire Parkway, which would run from West Park Toll Road north to I-10. Parallel to the Grand Parkway, but about 5 miles west.
5 miles west, starting off in downtown Fulshire going forward?
Actually, it's going to start right near Cross Creek.
Okay, gotcha.
And go north through Cross Creek and end up on I-10.
That would be phenomenal. It'd be a toll road.
Actually, at right now, we think the landowners are coming up with half of the cost of the facility, and we'll be looking for public-private partnership to.
I'm okay with toll roads. If I use it, I pay for it. It's real simple. I like consumption type taxes.
But in this case, it's going to be open.
That would be awesome.
I like open better, by the way. I think open's always a better concept. One of the things that I've been hearing also a lot is the West Park. The 99, the Grand Parkway. One of the big things that developers look for is access, and now the Grand Parkway has given access to a plethora of land that before was not really accessible. Now when you go from I-10 all the way up to 290, that section is open right now. Mm-hmm. You see a large swath of land that's available. How are you looking? How are you seeing and envisioning Houston's future growth? Let's forecast something 10 and 20 years out. Obviously, when you talk about, you have to have a short mindset looking backwards, but you also have to have a good mindset looking forward. How are you looking at things from there?
Well, the Grand Parkway itself, our third outer loop, is providing phenomenal access to areas that previously you just hardly could get to. And so that's going to create demand for new communities and housing over the next 10 or more years, actually, especially when it goes all the way around to 59 North. it's opening up huge amounts of land, and there's quite a bit of activity.
Joe, you can actually get to
Katy. But beyond that, I haven't heard a lot of discussion, of a fourth outer loop out there. The 36, this is talking about the west side, had some discussion as an evacuation route and some other things, but I haven't seen much progress.
Our fourth loop being from Rosenberg to Sealy. Think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can kind of always see the growth pattern of Houston. It was always going northwest and west, and some to the south. Well, eventually, of course, you run into the water, but the west expansion is just incredible.
It's amazing. I mean, one of the things, if you were to go out to Fulshear 10 years ago and you go out to it today, it's amazing, all the change. Cross Creek, obviously, when it was put on, before Johnson Development, bought it out there, it was just an amazing growth, a lot of good growth going on out there, a lot of good, obviously, you've had a lot of great builders that are still building in there. And, a lot of good stuff coming in with, obviously, new targets and HEBs. And so, one of the things that ends up happening also is you bring in all these communities, whereas before, I'll tell you, out in Katy before 10 years ago, you had to go inside, though, to do all your entertainment. Yeah. Not a lot of good restaurants, not a lot of good places to go shop. Nowadays, you don't have to leave anymore. And that's what it's always happened in these communities is as you've developed, you've seen that the development from a commercial standpoint has followed along, and that's what creates these larger, more integrated communities in the future.
Holy cow.
We got the 3-minute warning.
Yeah, time is just
already 3 minutes.
Zooming by.
So here's what we like to do. We call it the lightning round. But basically, and Doug, since you've kind of got the microphone, what would you like to leave people with?
That I think, again, we're blessed to be in a great place at this time. That there's tremendous opportunities as well as challenges, obviously, in all of our businesses. But I think, as was said earlier, if you have a passion for what you do, it's not work, and you create very special, unique things and places, or providing services like what Todd and Linda do. It's a fun business.
It is a great business. Steve, what would you like to leave people with?
Well, I think that Houston's a phenomenal city, one of the best in the planet, and we've had great growth here. We're going to continue to have great growth. Your values of your properties continue to grow, and the rest of the country is down. We're still rolling, so that's
thank God you're in Houston, Texas.
Amazing part of Texas.
Absolutely, Linda.
Well, I just giving a product. Giving an amazing community for us to sell, has really, steered the way for us.
How do we get hold of you?
Our website is www.teamriddle.com.
www.teamriddle.com.
That's my other half.
Deja vu. And echo. And how about a phone number
in the room?
Well, try me or Todd anytime, 281-658-4393.
713-540-0608, teamriddle.com.
Yeah.
Teamriddle.com.
Yeah.
Man, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
It does.
It absolutely does. Rob, I got a great quote for you today. We like to leave every show with a quote, and this is no different. This is specifically for you, Rob. It says, "It is better to remain silent at the risk of being thought a fool than to talk and remove all doubt of it."
That kills our whole show.
That's right. There goes the premise for the show.
We tell everybody all the time.
Now what are we going to do?
Absolutely. Tell everybody all the time, if you want to hear more about who we are, what we do, or any of our past shows, visit us on Facebook. You can go to facebook.com/Real Estate Rat Pack. You can also go to our website, which is
realestateratpack.com.
And you can find all of our great shows, all of our great guests, all of our great pictures, and everything you'd like to do in the world to find out more about the Real Estate Rat Pack. Visit all of our guests. Again, thank you to all of our guests today from Team Riddle, Sitterly Homes, Johnson Development. Until next week, we are out.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.